Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Mariner of Spirit. I'm Greg. I'm your host. Sorry for the background back there. There's been some stuff that was done on Easter, and people didn't come back to pick up their tables yet. So that's my son's. So anyway, I this is another one of these crazy situations. Another crazy situation. Another great episode. It's going to be. Uh, we had an opportunity to go ahead and push a person up on the schedule who I am tentatively was going to go ahead and have on in about 2 weeks from now. And I still haven't got a hold of him, but I did get a hold of him tonight. He's coming on tonight, and it's Thomas Patrick Gormley, and he's from the East Coast. He's a great person. He's a shaman. Uh, he belongs to the Warren Society and the Holy Sword Apostolate. I guess the Warren Society / the Holy Sword Apostolate. And before I bring him on, I just want to go ahead and mention a few things, and that's going to be number one, the people that I support. I support Potographs. That's a charity that's put together by Tim Miley and his wife now. And what they do is they go ahead and they set up events, and all the money that they raise from the events goes to a dog shelter or whatever it happens to be in the area that they do an event. Tim's been doing this now for, boy, oh boy, I think probably about 9 years, I want to say. And he always has top-notch speakers at the events. They're all around usually the Midwest, and they go up into Michigan and that area there. So if you get an opportunity, check it out. He has one event coming up pretty soon now, and I think it's up in Michigan. If you get the opportunity, go see it. I mean, he always has the people that you want to see in the paranormal community that are speaking. So that's number one. Number two is PKC, Paranormal Kicks Cancer, with Chris Gaskowski and Alex Wilkinson. They're a couple from down in Florida, and what they do is they go ahead and do the same basic kind of thing, only what they do is they do haunted houses, and they set up events at haunted locations and things like that, and the money that they raise goes to cancer research. And number three is the Jessica Petrie Foundation. Jessica Petrie Foundation was founded by her father, Howard Petrie, who was the founder of PUN, the Paranormal United Network, and now it was Paralanx, and now we're going to change the name again. he's been under the weather too. He's been very sick. And if you got the opportunity, say a few prayers for him. He's a great man. He's done a lot of great things for the paranormal community. And the idea behind her foundation, his daughter's foundation, was it was a resource for expecting mothers and families of pregnant women with mental illness. Uh, this is not really common, but it had it. He wanted to do something for her when she died, so it's a hard thing to handle. And there's a lot of people that need to hear that kind of thing, and that's why when he comes on, we talk about it quite a bit. It's something that the community, especially the paranormal community, has to be more aware of, and that's the kind of people that we like to see. Like we like to see our first guest tonight. And before we bring him on, once again, I want to mention a few authors that I have, and then we'll bring on Tom. First, number one is Bruce Holliday. Then we have Tobias Wayland, Adam Benedict, Kathy Kressel, Barnaby Jones, Sherilyn Cotter, Dr. Heatherly Langdon, Lynn Monet, Ron Iacovetti, Victoria Munday, Tony Rathman, Natalie Jones, Patty Negri, Sylvia Schultz, Amelia Cotter, Rex Nielsen, David Sloan, and Christina Bloom. And if I forgot anybody, most of these authors that I mentioned here, they have their books available on Amazon. And if you need to find a particular book, get in touch with me and I'll go ahead and get a hold of them and we'll find out where they're available. So without further ado, I want to bring on Thomas Patrick. Here he is.
Hey, how's it going, Greg?
Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on like this. Like I said, you're on the roster. It's just
Yeah,
that I'm bumping you up a little bit, and I appreciate it. It's awesome that you came on. Thank you very much.
yeah.
Uh,
Anything to help out a good guy, and your podcast is great. And I know you're always sending me some instant messages of some cool stuff, and we always stay in contact. And nothing more makes me happy and grateful to help you out.
okay, I appreciate it.
Mhm.
Uh, Without further ado, I know that some of the stuff that I've been sending lately has been pretty crazy. Some of it, I don't know. I don't know if you're into Pink Floyd at all, but
Oh, I love Pink Floyd.
well,
Yeah,
those I don't understand and half of that stuff with the
yeah.
who's
There's a lot that
that
goes
guy's
into
like.
that. That's a rabbit hole type of band right there, my friend. So,
Yes, it is.
yeah.
It's an old rabbit hole. Some of the people that I know never got back out of the hole.
Yeah, us Gen Xers or beyond or whatever. That was our music growing up. That was our childhood. What we learned from and what we got from it. And it's funny that some of these bands, the way they influence you, and then you look at life and how you progress. Pink Floyd is one of those bands that really we're talking about the paranormal that will really put you down that rabbit hole and think about those types of things. you know, what inspired them. And, I'm a firm believer in being a songwriter myself. Um, Sometimes I write a song as like, where did it come from? Are my spirit guides moving me to get their message out through me as a conduit to make a song? And all these other rock bands did the same thing happen to them. That's the crazy part of it. That's the rabbit hole that we look into when somebody's creative like that.
I know I'm not limited on my guides, but
Hmm.
my guides are people that aren't really common people.
Yeah.
I'm another one of those people that my number one guide, and I'm just going to mention his name, and I'm not going to get into him any further than that. The first one I did, and I did him. I did all my background as far as my mediumship and that was concerned was through with Scotty Rourke,
Mm-hmm.
who is up in Madison, Wisconsin, and I followed his instructions, and we would meet every week and kept on working on it. And I had a forest, I had a meadow and a pond and everything, and then I'd have to go into my forest
Yep.
and I'd have to try to find my guide,
Yeah.
my spirit guide. So I did this, and my forest to me is an atypical forest from northern Wisconsin. And up there, they actually did a study with all the different types of pines to determine which one had the fastest growing ratio.
Mm-hmm.
So they had them all numbered and color coded, and these rows went, for half a mile,
Yeah.
and they were all like rows, perfect rows. So I had that in my head, and I used that in the middle of my meditating or when I was going trying to find my guide.
Yeah.
And I did that. I don't know how many weeks I did it. And he said, just stick with it. When it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And
Yeah.
I went down one. It was like darker for some reason on this particular day. And I went, well, you get into the forest, it gets darker anyway. But I got all the way down and I was going to turn the corner. And all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I saw somebody coming out. And I turned my head like this. And I looked and I just thought, yikes. And I went ahead and I stuck my hand out and I says, what should I call you? And he looked at me and he says, you can call me Happy.
Yeah.
So it was Hopalong Cassidy.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And I had I had goosebumps and I was shivering and
Yeah.
everything. And by the time we got all done and I talked to him for probably a couple minutes, I was shy as a little school kid because it was like he always was a hero to me when
Yeah.
way back when I was a little kid. So for me, that's where my first one came from.
Yeah.
All
That,
mine came from the forest.
exactly. That's your comfort. That's what a lot of people got to realize when you find your spirit guides. It's a journey. It's letting go of your fear, concentrating on your happy place, and also letting go of ego. When you can let it go, ego, and know that you are a conduit and you let these people in to work through you, that's when you become more friendly with your spirit guides. That's when they become more prevalent. Um, I'm up to 12. I have 12 spirit guides, guardian angels, whatever you want to say. My most prominent one, of course, is my mom, who passed away in 2012.
I'm sorry
But
to hear that.
being a shaman, I do have a shaman chief, and I do have a shaman. I have a warrior that is always around me too. Um, there's so many different ones. They're all different personalities. Um, but I think encompassing, they do have different personalities, but they pinpoint in on me as a conduit. And there are different things that I could call on depending on the situation of what investigation I'm doing or who I'm talking to, and if they need healing, if they need that little extra word that's going to help keep them on their path that they're meant to do. We're all on our different paths. And I could give you the words, but you still have to go on your own path. It's not my path to give you. It's just the words for you to make the decision to continue on that path. And hopefully, it's the positive and what I get in my mind's eye when I meet certain people, when I pinpoint in on them. I get the words and I just say, I don't even know what I'm saying. I tell a lot of people I'm a songwriter. When I write a song, sometimes I don't know where it came from. Sometimes it's just the spirit trying to get its message out, and I'm doing that through song. But it's the same thing when I talk to somebody that's on their path, or they have trauma and I need to heal them, just to give them the right words, and hopefully that helps them make the decision to go forward in a more positive light.
I know you've done some tremendous work, okay, and I know that you're with Father Bob, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been this person, Father Bob,
Mm-hmm.
has been in my radar for quite a while now, along with you.
Yeah.
The difference being that me and Catholicism are pretty much, I'm not going to say finished, but I'm a non-practicing Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this all happened right before my service and during my service time, and when I came home, and it was like they weren't willing to do things, and I just said, well, I'm going to go a different route.
Mm-hmm.
And I, for quite a few years, I was by myself, and that wasn't getting anywhere, because each and every one of us needs that kind of support. Okay, if you don't get it at home from your from the missus, if there's something missing there out of the whole entire heart, and it's quite possible with everybody, because people do change. And the situation with me was the fact that I came to the conclusion that I started investigating, and there was something there. There was something there that I could taste it. I couldn't really feel it. You know what I mean? You could smell it. I I knew that it was there. It was just trying to put it all together, put two and two together. So when I first started talking to Scotty, it was like he looked at me. He says, "Well, everyone has gifts,"
They do.
and it was like, okay, well, I don't know. And he says, you do," and he just kept on looking at me, and he was like, you don't have to answer me. I can tell. And I just sort of went, okay, whatever we need to do, okay, because I did want that, not only the camaraderie, but the understanding and the faith. And whether you believe in what's in the church, or you believe in what's in your heart, it could be two different things. And the people around us, I've been really blessed in that respect. That I was one of those Catholics that, how I went off the deep edge, I'll never know. But I always have thoughts of maybe, but we were forced to go that direction. So, and we did.
Yeah.
Now we sit here, and now my important people in my life happen to be shamans. Okay, now there was a time I had one shaman, and he died from cancer
Yeah.
very fast. And then the next thing I knew, I had no shaman. Brandon Cooper came back from Iraq.
Yep.
He's been around,
Good
I
friend
think
of mine. I love Brandon, the gnome.
Brandon. And all of a sudden, Brandon, we started talking one night, and Brandon, he goes, I'm a shaman. And I just freaked out. I went ahead and said, oh my God, this is fantastic, because uh, I can't, now when people are really important to me, some of the names don't come anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that died was from Central Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
He was on a lot of shows. He used to do a lot of business with drums. Uh,
Yeah, the drums are a big thing.
so,
It's a matter of focusing.
Is it Christopher
focusing our
Sutton?
ancestors and everything in. It is an important part of shamanism, if that's your forte. So everybody has different things.
Yeah, I think it was Christopher Sutton.
Yeah. Okay.
And the last time I saw him, he never told anybody that he was really, really sick. And we were at a Paracon, and that was the first opportunity both of us were speaking. And we had a lot of time together where I never had a lot of time with him before that.
Yeah.
So there was a reason that was there. And then we went to say, I said, well, we're going to go. And I says, hey, it's been really great. And then I'm going out the door and I said, you know what? We never got a picture. And he looks at me and he says, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Like that. And the next thing I know, the man was gone.
Yeah.
And, you know, things like that, when they happen, they mean a lot to me. And you try to go ahead and make sure that you got all your I's dotted and your T's crossed with anybody in a relationship, any person that you meet in the paranormal community or the spiritual community, uh, is number one. And I have to remember, because I'm one of those guys that's gotten hit in the head too many times. So I have a tendency to, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I, I completely understand. There's so many people that reach out that I meet, I see on Facebook, and finally meet them, and I feel bad because sometimes the recollection or just always tell me where I know you from, and it'll come back to me. But we're talking about thousands and thousands of people that I meet on this social media and things like that. It wasn't the same back in the day when I first got into the paranormal, first realized that I was an empath. I didn't know what it was. I was 14, 15 years old when I met Lorraine Warren, and Lorraine helped me realize, my gifts and all that, and working through her, and then as the years go on, realizing my own journey, and working hard at that, and all the people I've met along the way that have helped me. But as a shaman, really, I didn't come into my shamanism until my mom passed away. I denied it. I denied it. I denied it. It's a calling. And finally, when my mom died, I finally accepted it. And it's funny because my whole life, all the bad decisions I've made, all the things that have happened to me, sickness wise, anything like that, I chalk it up to the shamanic sickness until I accepted that, this was my journey, and I was meant to be a conduit to help people and to have things work through me, to help other people. And meeting people like you, Greg, or anybody I meet along the way, I meet them at the right time for the right reasons. And I accept that there are people that'll come into my life, they'll leave my life, but it is a lesson. And I never put a negative into it. I never give anybody a hard time. There's negative things that have happened in my life, but they're a lesson for me to learn to go along my own journey. So drama that comes into my life, I accept it for what it is, but I don't push it. I accept the lesson and to learn from it and to be able to press on and help other people. So it's important. That's what we need to know. And I never really get mad at that. I'm a very positive and grateful person for what my gift is and what I could do to help people.
Well, as soon as I saw your name tonight,
Hmm.
I automatically went ahead and said it's going to work.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things when there's a connection there and somebody that you know really actually means more to me than a lot of other
Yeah.
situations, and I feel quite strongly about the connections that we have, and the other people, especially more of them up by you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is that's drawing me that way.
Yeah.
You
We'll
know, it's
take you up in New England, Greg. Anytime you want to come up, my friend.
it's sort of funny in respect. It's like, you know, I've had people that go up there and I'm going ahead and I'll go to bed at night and I'll start dreaming and I'll see a building or something and I'll start going ahead and trying to figure out what the heck I'm seeing and all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that happens sometimes with me. But I know that, you know, all my notes that I have on you, and this is, I'm going to just apologize right up front and say, hey, they're here somewhere. Okay. But
Okay.
that was from the first time we got together.
Yeah.
And since then, you know, how have you changed anything at all with your
Quite
approaches
quite
now?
a bit. Over the years, 40 years, I've done thousands. I'm probably up a couple thousand home cases. And it came to the point where I've kind of drawn out of it, and I still get people that call, but that's where the archangel of the paranormal comes in, because the hard cases are where I would come in. It was almost like that, the really hard cases to help, and that's where the archangel comes in. But I'm also, work to do events, and to do tours, events, psychic fairs. Um, we take people on ghost hunts, to teach them the right way on how to do things, with my partner Charles Rosenet as the shaman and the showman. We have big events like coming up, the Connecticut Paracon. That's going to be coming up in July. Salem Paracon, we do the Witch Festival, again, psychic fairs and things like every season. But other things that I belong to, especially being up in this area, I am one of the main board members of the Warren Society. So with the Warren Society, we have people that call us from all over the country, even internationally, with their paranormal problems, and we try and get to the root of it. And we do come to the point where we're starting to train teams from all over, to look at things. And if it's something very seriously, just like Ed and Lorraine used to do back in the day, where they would train people to go see these things, and if it was beyond their purview, then we would go in. Everybody that's part of the Warren Society has over 30 years of experience in the paranormal to try and come to some conclusions. One of the main people is Joe Frankie, who worked side by side with the Warrens for over 30 years. Father Bob Bailey, Father Ken Torres, of course, myself. We have Stacia Wills out of Ohio, and of course, Bill Slevin, Dr. Slevin down there in Florida. So we're talking about people that have been doing this for a while. Are we perfect? No. That's the thing is paranormal. Nobody's ever 100% right or wrong, but it does help to have the experience to been through some of the hardest cases ever, the demonic cases, the trickster cases, anything that you could think of. So we're able to discern what's really going on. Now, with that, we have what's called the three pillars. The Warren Society, we have another group called Wardruna. Now, Wardruna is a healing society. Now, part of Wardruna is, you have somebody that comes in for one of our psychics that comes in for a reading. We realize they have PTSD. We refer them to our psychologists that are part of our group, to the point where we have medical doctors, anything you could think of that has to do holistically, metaphysically, medically. We want to heal people from spiritual, mental to physical in that aspect, to the point where the whole group is HIPAA protected, to the point where we have dietitians that could help you with depression, with the meals that they could teach you. So with that, when you have that Warren Society and we could refer somebody to that, we could heal them, to the point where their paranormal issues might go away, because it might be psychological. But also, we look at the clergy side of it. We do have the Holy Sword Apostolate that's pretty much headed up by Father Bob Bailey and Father Ken Torres. I'm part of that because I'm an ordained minister. I am a spiritual healer, and that's another thing that we do. That sometimes people heal with prayer when they do have that belief in a higher power. So it's a whole thing, again, spiritual, mental and physical. So when all three of those are aligned, we're better human beings. And that's what we want to do to our fellow brothers and sisters in this world, is with that triad, with those three pillars, we're able to do that. And that's kind of what I've been doing. I bring people in on these events with Charles, the shaman and the showman, just to introduce these types of people, know that there's an outlet for them, knowing people don't have to be alone, especially in the paranormal, because a lot of people don't realize some people get involved in the paranormal because they do have that trauma. They're attracted to that dark side of it and all that. And when they get to meet people like myself, or Joe Frankie or Stacia Wills or Father Bob Bailey or Father Ken, and the people that are here to listen to you and to help you get in touch with your journey and to help heal you, I think that's very powerful, and that's what's missing nowadays. And I think that's what's going to change in the paranormal. I think people are going to get more and more in touch with that. And that's why people like yourself, Greg, that are in touch with it too, it's important that we all push this type of thing right now, because that's what's needed.
You think it's 2 years now? It's going to be 27
Yeah.
that we're talking about?
Yeah, I think we have a 2-year program. Stacia and myself have talked about it. And I think things are going to flip around. I think it's needed. There's so many people that have trauma, that have paranormal issues that are stem from fear. If we could take the fear away, if we could heal people from the spiritual to mental to physical level, I think we're in that better program to go forward. And again, I can't do it for people. Again, I could give them the words. They have to make that decision. If they want to heal and they're dedicated to it, that'll happen. And when they reach out, we're always prepared to help them with the program, and move them through the program if that's what's needed. We have to discern what's going on with them. We have tons of cases that we're dealing with right now. But I got to let people know that when you deal with these types of cases, when you're able to do the history, when you're able to talk to the whole family or anybody involved and really dig down deep and discern, a lot of people don't realize there's too many people that rush in and just do an investigation. Your investigation should be the last resort. Let's take care of everything first, and the investigation should be the last resort, because you could really open up stuff that you may not be prepared for. And that's what we try and preach. Um, Unfortunately, a lot of people look at us as we're old and we've been doing this for a long time. And hey, old man, you don't know what you're talking about. So we get a lot of that, but it's experience. We've made our mistakes. We've learned from them. We've built that bridge for other people to be able to do this. It even goes back to learning from Ed and Lorraine Warren. Did they make their mistakes? Yes. But they built that foundation. Dr. Hans Holzer built that foundation for all of us. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be talking to you right now, Greg. Being able to pass on what I've learned from them, and being able to figure out some of the stuff they weren't around to figure out. It's a daily thing. You really go back, you think about medical doctors. They used to think bloodletting would cure people. We laugh about it now, but it was serious to them at the time. They didn't know. So now we know, and we're looking at that foundation and building it. So it's the same thing in the paranormal. We have to learn and build that foundation. And when people close themselves off and think it's just one thing, we're never going to progress. We have to look at it scientifically, but we have to look at it metaphysically too. It isn't one over the other. It all goes together. We all have to work together as a team to be able to go forward. Are we ever going to figure it out 100%? No, because once we do, it's not paranormal anymore. It'll be normal. I know people would love for that to happen. I just don't see it. But in the meantime, we always want to look for a solution to help people work through that. So,
Do you know a person by the name of Green Stoshi?
not familiar.
He's in the chat,
Okay.
and he says, "How about the Book of Enoch?"
I,
Then he goes on and
I
says, "What if this is another entry that he made? What if you had the chance to talk to Hermes, fourth risen?" And the third one was Ibis or Thort.
so just to answer that question is just the same thing I just talked about. Ed and Lorraine Warren, Dr. Hans Holzer, they built that foundation. But who did they learn from? And then before them, who did they learn from? There's books out there when you read, you educate yourself and you build that foundation and you question it. Are these people completely right? What other angle can I look at? What makes sense? And as we build on it, we just become better as human beings in being able to see things. So, yeah, if I could go back and talk to certain people, yeah, it would be beneficial. Um, it would help me understand more of that foundation that goes way back. It starts from the beginning of time. Even we talked about earlier, your upbringing in Catholicism or anything like that. We hear the stories of the Bible. They've shaped our lives. They shaped our faith. They shaped our way of discerning. When they shaped our way of hoping to get away from fear. But again, it comes down to you individually being able to look in the mirror and knowing that I'm on my path. What are these things I've learned in my life that have helped me on my path? Am I spiritual? Do I really have to belong to Catholicism or whatever it is? I've learned from it. Your life is an education. You're on your own journey, and people are going to tell you things all the time, but it's up to you to accept what they tell you and how that works for you. And if you look at it as a positive and you exude that, you attract, the positivity. And that's what we have to look at. Too many of us look at the negative. Too many people say, hey, you're wrong. Instead of being open to hear and learn, you may not agree with it. But again, it's you making that decision. Yes, I don't agree with that. That doesn't help me on my life path. So that's all it is. It's not about being mad at somebody or hating somebody or anything like that. It's being open to sit at the table and exchange ideas, to be able to understand who you are as a person. Because if you're not happy with who you won't exude the positivity for everybody around you or to attract the right people to you to help you on your path.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great way to put that.
Mm-hmm.
And for people that have gone ahead and done exactly what you were talking about, I have no problems with accepting what I've done.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that I am where I need to be.
Yeah.
I need to be better at it. We all have to go ahead, and especially with on the investigation end of it.
Yeah.
As far as the prep is concerned, and the seriousness of it. A lot of people take that and go into something like that, even in the private sector. And I haven't been on, I think I was on one or two
Mm-hmm.
private investigations. Over here on this side, the Midwest, there's a lot of issues that come up with uh are you going to sign a waiver? Am I going to be held responsible for certain things? And I can't see where that should come into play. But with some of the people that are out there that claim to be investigators,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I can see it happening. I've heard horror cases from Ohio, and I don't know who the heck is over there, and I don't want to know.
Yep.
But it's one of those things that when you hear that kind of stuff, you really start to wonder. Now, you guys have been around for a long, long time. Now, Chris McKinnell, he's down in South America now, right? So is he still part, the Warren Legacy Foundation I belong to?
Yeah, Chris McCannell still runs that. The Warren Society is a new offshoot that a lot of us has come together. It's all a matter of bringing the work and the knowledge of Ed and Lorraine Warren, that foundation, and what we learned from that to expound on it and to help other people. The more people that remember Ed and Lorraine Warren, I think the better. Even on top of that, even Hans Holzer, any of those types of people that came before us, you're going way back. I mean, those are the people that we know, but there's people beyond that. We're trying to keep that legacy alive and build on it and what we learn and exchange those ideas and be able to have a healthy conversation and how we need to move our industry forward. Because unfortunately, right now, um, over the last few years, I run Paracons, and the Paracons, a lot of people haven't been coming to. I think the problem is from what I've heard, is you invite a lot of people, they don't have anything to say that people haven't heard before. I think we really need to have people that have something new to say for people to learn and to move forward. Because right now we're stagnant, and people got to realize we have to look at things a little differently. Um, we can't have that ego that's going to keep us from learning. Nobody's right or wrong about the paranormal. I'm not coming out here saying that I know everything about the paranormal. I definitely don't. But again, after 40 years, I have the experience, and I've made every mistake in the book. I've helped build the bridge. If you want to cross it, come on over. I'm more than happy to talk to you. But you have to make that decision. And if you want to come aboard and have that conversation, I'm more than happy to sit with you and have that conversation.
No, that's what that's as positive as you could possibly get about it.
Yeah.
And that's where everybody has to be. That's in this particular section where you're helping people.
Yeah.
With issues of spirit.
Yeah.
And I know that you've always come across that way with me, and I know that when I first saw you, you were with Frankie. You remember that, and you guys, and it was like, holy, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Because these guys, they don't have to carry guns.
No.
And that's the difference.
The thing is it's experience. I want to say it's no ego. It's confidence. It's knowing that we've been up against some of the worst stuff, and we want to pass that knowledge along for people to learn from it and to understand it. And that's the important side of it. When you deal with the demonic, there's too many people out there nowadays that think everything's demonic. It's not. When you really run into it, you want to avoid it at all costs. I mean, all costs. I've seen things that, for me, knowing my knowledge, I will never talk about in my lifetime, because I will never give it power again. Because when you give it power and you talk about it too much, it'll come back to you. Case in point, the other night we decided that we were going to have a discussion about the exorcism of Annalise Michelle on a podcast where Joe Frankie, myself, Father Bob were on with some of the other castmates that I work with on every Monday night on the All Access Network TV. And we usually talk about serial killers, supernatural, and murderers, but we wanted to do the case about Annalise Michelle because her parents and the clergy were arrested for basically saying there was, involuntary manslaughter, kind of in that way, because she had passed away from malnutrition. So we really looked at the case, and as we were talking about it, you're putting energy into it again. about a case that demonic. It was demonic. I'm going to tell you, there's a psychological side of it too. You could play devil's advocate and say it was psychological. But when a woman starts talking Latin in a perfect language or Greek in perfect language and never talked it before, there's something wrong there. It doesn't make sense. The discernment is going to say that there's demonic play. And as we talked about it, I'm sitting in my room where I'm sitting right now. I had little shadow figures running around the room, shadow play going on the whole time we were talking. Um, Even after some of the people called me later and said there was weird stuff going on the whole time we were talking, people didn't feel comfortable. You're putting energy back into that case. You have to really be careful of certain things. Even when you talk about it, you're inviting that type of energy back in. So any case I've ever had over the years, there's certain cases people ask me about, and I says, next case. I will never talk about it and give it that energy because it was so bad. I mean, you know, it's some of the most evil stuff I've ever seen, and I will again never talk about it. But there are other cases I do talk about to educate people. There are cases where it's human spirits that are just angry or anything like that. You could be pushed, you could be scratched by spirits, but not because it's evil, because it wants to get your attention and tell its story. So those are where discernment comes in. That's where experience comes in, knowing how to determine that and knowing the feel and being an empath and knowing the difference between energies, or having people like my friend Stacia Wills, who's a psychic medium, that picks up on that stuff or picks up on the emotion, and being able to pinpoint what it actually is and to discern that to help a client to move through that and take back the power of their home. Those are the things that we do, and it's all intertwined with the three pillars of the Warren Society, Wardruna, and the Holy Apostolate. So, the Holy Sword Apostolate. So those are important things, and we all work together. We all on the phone all the time, exchanging ideas, and it's so important because we do that. I think it's important for other people out there that have groups and trust each other and know that they have each other's back, and nothing's going to change that. If there's other groups out there that could do the same thing, the better. We could all exchange ideas, sit at the dinner table, break bread, and do it for the positive and not for what some stuff that goes on online that we all see.
Yeah, that's for sure. But you must have some fantastic notes, huh?
Yeah. I mean, between Joe, myself, people like Bill Slevin, Father Bob, Father Ken, just my friend Stacia, just all of us, we've talked about stuff. Um, I've had cases, hey, if Hollywood wants to come calling, and I think if it's for the right reasons, because me, I'm not one, I don't care for that type of stuff. My more frame of mind is if somebody comes calling and they do it for the right reasons and it could help people learn and keep themselves safe, I'm more positive towards that. Again, I've had things call out to me all the time. People come to me, hey, let's do this. It's just not the right platform. I think that's important. That's not what I'm in it for. I'm basically, I'm going to put it simply. You know, I help the living and I help the dead. That's it. Everything else is cool that comes to me, but that's really what I concentrate on. If it helps the living get through their issues and it helps the dead to be able to make the decision to move on, I'm good. I'm good with that. I'm happy.
Well, there's a reason why you've been in it as long as you have, like all the people in your group.
Yeah.
Period. Every one of those names are people that I have come to respect,
Yeah.
whether I've had them on or not. It's just it's great that they're there, and if somebody has a question, as far as funneling of the information is concerned, do you have anything set up like that, or do you just shoot from the hip on that?
No, we really exchange ideas. a lot of us will sit, we'll we'll get breakfast or lunch, and we sit and we talk about issues and all that, and how to get through them, and a different way to look at it. We exchange ideas from all the experience. Really, one of the big things is, yeah, there's other people in the paranormal that we do consult with. Um, a lot of times, we consult with people that have been doing it for a long time, or another good friend is Johnny Zaffis. He's
Oh,
always a wealth of knowledge to help us get through it. But again, he's another person that's in it for the right reasons, that background. Um, there's just so many people that we look up to, and we listen to each other. It's a team effort, and that's what we respect. It's not one person over the other. Without that team effort, we can't help, again, the living or the dead. Without that team effort, because we have to look at it at all angles. um, if you're just looking at it at one angle, you might do more harm than good.
here's a. Can you read it or not?
Yeah, it says with all the people that are getting into the paranormal, we worry about the lack of experience could bring about a larger paranormal event. Um, Really, I look at it this way. I'm very open to people's ideas. If you're open and you're just getting into the paranormal, I'm going to tell people the number one thing that you need to look at is your intention. If you have the wrong intention, that's what you're going to draw. If you have the right intention, it'll be more positive. But you do have to work with other people that are experienced. If you're just getting into it, get part of a group. My partner Charles and I do provide um, paranormal investigations at places that aren't really investigated. So you have newer energy, and we do help you through it. We do educate you, whether you're brand new or whether you're experienced, to teach you the right way to grab the right intention, to be able to learn how to ground yourself, to look at the right way and the wrong way about certain things, and the equipment that you might be able to use, how it works, why it works that way. And so you understand that when you're using something, you do have a complete understanding of why it does what it does, when to use it, what situations to use it in. I'm not an equipment person per se myself. I do have it to train people. Um, Being an empath, being able to pick up on certain energies. I do, some of my favorite things, of course, are an SLS camera. When a figure pops up and I say, wave your hand, the only reason why I like that is when I'm about to communicate with spirit, I like to know I'm facing them and I'm not like back to back to them. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
respect. You want
yeah.
to have respect for spirit. I use, ITC devices to be able to communicate. Um, a lot of people in this industry that know me know that one of my fortes is to be able to communicate with spirit, help them heal their trauma, and make the decision for themselves to move on. It's not me doing it. I'm a conduit. I give the words and they make the decision. And I tell people all the time, as a human, if you're a smoker and I tell you to quit smoking, you're not going to quit smoking until you make that decision yourself. But if I give you the right words to get you to that point, still you making that decision. So it's the same thing in the spirit world. Um, Getting them to get to that point that, you know, if they want to move on, my spirit guides, and I have a good conversation to the point where I tell them and they tell their spirit guides or what they have around them, just call his name through the ITC device and he knows that you need help. That way, I'm only working with the spirits that want to leave and need that
Exactly.
help. So when
Okay.
I do help them, a lot of people will say, hey, just go to the light, go to the light. I want to tell you guys that's not what it is. After years of experience, I realized, you know what the light is? When they first pass, when they leave their meat suit, it's that light of leaving. It's that trauma of the leaving your body and then just being a soul, and still having that frame of mind. So usually the best way to do it is they're in a traumatic state. That's what's keeping them here. If they're in that limbo and that's what's keeping them, we have to figure out, okay, what's going on? Let me hear your story. Once I hear your story, then I'm just going to say to you, you know, let's put it this way. Greg, what's the best moment of your life?
What's the best moment of
What's
my
the
life?
best thing that's ever happened to you?
Probably at the birth of my first son.
Okay. So if that's your happiest moment, and I said to you in spirit, Greg, I want you to go to your happiest moment. Do you think that would take you out of your trauma?
Probably.
Exactly. And then once you do that to somebody in the spirit world and you take them out of that trauma for that moment, they see. They see the path to help them level up or wherever they go. I don't know where they go. None of us, until we die, we don't know. So it's all theory. But once we do that, instrumentation dies out. You could feel movement of spirit move through you, the cobwebs, whatever way you feel it. The energy that's thick is now light. Um, it's still an enigma to everybody, but when you're doing that and you give the words, everything feels different. So for us as human beings that still have our meat suits and think, our discernment is, I think they made the decision to leave, and you feel comfortable with that. I know there's a lot of skeptics out there, and I'm never going to tell anybody to believe anything they don't. That's why when I give a talk, I tell people just before I talk, I said, I want to let you guys know what I'm about to tell you is what happened to me. I don't expect you to believe it, but this is the experience I had. If this moves you on your own path, then I appreciate that. I'm not here to make you believe anything differently because, you have to come to that conclusion for yourself. Again, we're all on our own journey. What we learn, what we know, and what helps us level up, that's what it is. We're here for it.
And we can pass it on, we pass it on.
Exactly. So some people aren't,
Nancy,
yeah, some people
excuse
aren't
me,
ready for it.
some people aren't.
Yeah.
Nancy says, has another question, but it says, but tech is advancing. How would you know what you can tap into? I don't call everything a demon, but like his message implies, give it credence can bring it back. They make movies out of this stuff.
Yeah. You know, there's so much stuff you put your energy into it. Um, Sometimes you don't know what you're dealing with. Are you dealing with a trickster? Is it pretending to be something that it isn't? That's where discernment comes in. That's where experience, making mistakes, having that stuff happen and knowing where certain things go. Having that feeling of different energies. Is it equipment sometimes? I think your best piece of equipment is your own discernment, your own body. It doesn't feel right. It's probably not right. If it feels right, then you're probably going in the right direction. Equipment is equipment. It's there to verify maybe how we're feeling. If I have an EMF meter and I'm feeling a weird energy and that goes off, it's probably verifying that I'm feeling a weird energy. Is it paranormal? I don't know. We have to discern that. We can't just say, hey, the device is going off. It must be something. No, we got to look at it at all angles. We have to look at the situation that's arised. How am I feeling internally? There's times I walk through hallways and I feel, oh man, I'm feeling like this huge energy. And then I have a piece of equipment. I put it up near a wall and the EMF is going up. I pull it away from the wall, it goes down. I put it back against the wall, it goes up. Could be an electrical problem inside that wall. It gives off enough EMF, you're going to feel that energy. So those are the things I'm talking about. We can't just say, hey, yeah, that's what it is. We have to look at it at all angles. Because if we don't, we're not doing justice to our client to make sure it is what it is and what they're feeling. And we're not doing justice to the spirit world because that's not what it is. And we don't want to give it, credence if it's not that, because a lot of people don't realize is if you think something's malevolent or if you think something's coming from the spirit world and enough people think that, you could create that. So you're creating an energy that isn't really there. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You create that egregore if enough people think about it, that thought form. So that's why you got to be careful of how you approach things.
Do you specifically hang around because you have so much going on in the East Coast,
Mm-hmm.
correct? So
Yes.
you haven't dabbled across the country, have you?
Oh, I've been across the country. I've lectured all over the country and all that. Um, Investigation wise, we do have people that call us from all over the country. And I just kind of let people know when we talk to a lot of these people, a lot of the stuff can be handled over the phone. The investigation part of it, out of maybe 100 people we talk to, there's probably 95% of it is solvable over the phone. The other
Wow.
percentage means that we might have to go to another level. A lot of people just want to automatically go investigate. You got to realize something. It should be your last resort, because when you go in to investigate, you're opening up the spirit world where you may not understand it. Even with a lot of experience, there might be stuff that I still don't understand, that I might open up this client to something that, might harm them if I don't discern it properly. I still question my own self, but with that experience, I don't want to have to get to that level. Nobody's perfect at this. If we were, I think it's egotistical to think that we could solve everything. With experience, yeah, we could get to a different level, but there's a lot that goes into it. People think just let's just go on an investigation. No, you really have to talk to the people. You really have to discern. You have to get to know them. You got to know the real people. What's really making this tick? Is it psychological? You have to do the history. You have to peel back the onion. If you don't do that, the cut too many onions, what starts happening? You start
You're
crying,
crying.
and those tears and that negativity don't bring the right things, my friends. So, and we have to
That's,
try and stay away from that and do our due diligence. I think a lot of times people watch too much stuff on TV and just think I'm just going to rush in and think I'm going to solve the problem. You're not. I've seen it fail too many times. I failed myself. But when you fail, you learn from it. The more you fail, the better you get at it. It doesn't make you
you got
perfect.
that right.
It just gives you the frame of mind to want to do better and make sure that you're able to, you know, get a better look at it next time.
I think if people actually went ahead and actually put feathers in their hat when they do make mistakes compared to going ahead and
Yeah.
actually accomplishing something, they'd probably get farther along the path.
Yeah. I mean, most people that have been in this for a little bit, I'll tell you that I've probably made more mistakes than anything, and I'm grateful for that, because without mistakes, you can't learn. It goes back to look at it. You could give up after making a mistake and get down on yourself, or you could learn from it. There's two ways you could go. Look at Thomas Edison. Um, he tried over 10,000 times before he perfected the light bulb. If he gave up, who knows where we'd be right now. So, and that's the thing is you have to keep trying. If you do fail, you have to look at it on all different angles and see, okay, next time I'm going to do this. And by that time, with enough experience, you've made enough mistakes to be able to have a better outcome for your client or a better outcome for spirit. So,
Do you know Anton Ritter?
not familiar.
I'm trying to figure out who he is.
Okay. Did he
I,
did he have a
I, I just
question
thought,
or anything like that?
no, no, it just says hello.
Oh, how you doing, buddy? That's okay. He's
It was
joining the
just something
show.
I
If
thought.
I don't know him, you don't know him, then I guess that's a good thing. Yeah.
It's a dead giveaway, isn't it?
No,
Well,
that's a good
it's
thing.
great.
If somebody's joining the show just out of a whim, maybe that's good for them. Maybe that what we're talking about tonight might help them on their own journey, and I guess we
I,
did our job tonight. So,
yep,
yeah,
I would say that would be the case.
yeah. Yeah,
The
you never know who's going to join you.
all the names that you mentioned, though, out of your group of guys, please
Yeah.
do me a favor and say hello to them for me when you
Hello
run
to
into
them.
them. Yeah, say hello to all those guys that
Oh
you
my God,
have,
all my peeps.
all your peeps. Just say,
Yeah,
hey, Greg Koss says hi,
yeah, I
because I
will.
think
And
they're I think they're a great group of people.
they are
They
Joe Frankie and I. The funny thing is all of us when we get together, you would think we hated each other because we're so sarcastic with each other.
well,
And we love each other so much that we trust each other to the point where we've been through some shit.
it's
And
like an old marriage.
yeah, it is. I'll make fun of Joe and Father Bob Bailey and I went on an 11-hour drive down to Virginia and back. And we just made fun of each other all the time. But that's love right there. You love your team, you trust them, um, and that's brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever. Stacia Wills is my twin sister from past lives. There's people that um, they're ride and die. These guys, the five of us together, are ride and die. We're here to help the living. We're here to help the dead through the Warren Society, through Wardruna, through the Holy Sword Apostolate. It's all angles. It's that three-pillar thing that is definitely needed. You got your threes, whatever way you want to look at the three in your own upbringing or belief, but you know that's the important thing, is that we again help the living and the dead, and that we're such a solid group and love each other. We're able to pass on that love and want to do that hard work for others to be able to help them through their paranormal issue, their mental issue. And I'm a firm believer, spiritual, mental, and physical, if that's all in line, we all live a better life.
I know Barbara Spear,
Hmm.
who happens to be on she's on my Wednesday show.
Yep.
She's the moderator for when we do all this spirit communication work.
Yes.
Uh, she says, I think he's been with us before.
Yeah. We've all been together. When I come on these shows, um, the people that I'm with, I think a lot of us have been together before, especially when we talk about this topic. Um, that's what it is even in our past lives, we've made our mistakes. We come into another life to make it better. So we're always trying to level up, no matter if it's a past life, it's our life now. Um, it's a constant growing, to help humanity and do our best for it and what
Those are
we know
little,
what our
those are
gifts are.
little, those are little hints that you're throwing out there. You know that?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. I'm picking them up as you're throwing them out,
yeah,
because it is important, and I understand exactly what you're saying.
yeah.
And I want to say, can we go a few extra minutes, or are
Oh
you
yeah, I'm good.
you're good? Okay.
I'm good. I'm
I'm
perfect
just
right now. So
okay.
this
That's
this
cool.
is important stuff. I'm
I
more than happy to spread the word and do what we can for your listening audience.
This gentleman here, Jim, he says he has old dolls that will come out as stick figures and wave on command. They want to live in the doll and feel happy. They love energy.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I
No,
mean,
that
objects could hold energy in. Um, you think about it. If you love something enough and you want to stay with it's a possibility. There's a lot of people in my lives that do work with objects that do have attachments of some sort, problematic objects, I like to call them. My friends Danny and Lauren Perez, the Radicals, people like John Zappis. There's a lot of people that do deal with this type of energy. Even it's not my forte, but it's good to have friends in the community that do have that understanding, and to be able to have somebody like that is wondering about their dolls and why this is that. Those are people we could refer them to. Again, with the Warren Society, Wardruna, the Holy Sword Apostolate, we do have that long Rolodex for us old school people that, we could pull on somebody that does have the same willingness to help the living and the dead, like all of us do, that are all interconnected. So,
That's the awesome part.
mhm.
I really feel that way. I mean, if I have to go out and throw the old bandolero on
Yeah,
and, the six guns and whatever it happens to be and join, I'd be more than willing
yeah,
and able, and not that everybody around here would understand what I was doing
yeah,
because, you're leaving those people hanging
yeah,
by their fingertips, so it's a hard thing to do after you've been, I've been married a long time, and my sons are, they look at me sometimes, they know I'm a musky fisherman, and besides a musky fisherman, they
yeah,
know that, well, if you're a fisherman, you're a fisherman.
yeah,
You still carry that through everything else you do. So I even investigations, and I don't really cough this up too much when I talk to a person of your caliber and mention that fact. But when you deal with things like that, and it's not me slapping myself on the back, it's just
yeah,
that there's certain things that I follow that I would use and I would be effective with on the water,
yeah.
and I would be able to transpose them into this.
Well, you're exactly right. Everything from the day you were born, every lesson that you learn in life, and what you take from it, and what you're able to put back into it as you journey through life and get to the point where you make the decision to help the living, help the dead, or whatever you're involved in, your upbringing brings you to that. Your acceptance and what you've learned, good or bad, has brought you to this point. That's part of the shamanic journey that I'm on. Everybody that I meet is for a reason. People will come and go in my life. Do I get mad? No, they come and go for a reason. They've given me that lesson, and the lesson's over, and they move on. Those are the types of things you have to look at. If we let every little thing get us angry, then we're taking ourselves away from spirit. We're looking at it with ego. I'm grateful for everybody that I meet, whether it's a short time or a long time. Just so you know, there's a study done in Princeton that everyone you meet in life puts you on your journey. If any of those people are missing, your journey is totally different. It may not be for the right reasons. That's why we have to accept our gut feeling. Even to the point where if I'm walking across the street and I hold traffic up to let this woman go across the street. If I don't do that, my life will be totally different from there on, because that's a decision I made at that moment. Every
Right.
decision you make at that moment is for the right reasons. And when we accept that, we're grateful. So, too many people forget to be grateful in life. And I think that's where a lot of people make the mistake of, trying to be happy and trying to stay away from that trauma. We all go through it. It's accepting it and knowing, okay, this taught me the lesson. I'm grateful for it. Let me move on. Let me take the day for the way it is. I can't change tomorrow. I can't change yesterday. Yesterday shaped me, gave me my reason to be here today. So let's just take care of today, and tomorrow will take care of itself if we're doing it today.
Who would you hold up in the highest esteem as far as who influenced you the most on your
Um,
journey?
Pretty much, there's two people in my life that have helped me the most. Um, Again, if it wasn't for me meeting Lorraine Warren and her letting me know what my abilities were being an empath, uh, if I didn't meet her, I really think about it. If I didn't meet her, I'd probably be totally different today. I may not know what I was. Could I got myself in trouble? Yeah. Could I have ended up in jail, not knowing why I felt the way I did, get angry at certain things, don't know why I'm angry? Could have gotten out of control? Yeah, could have. So I really look back on it. If it wasn't for Lorraine Warren, I really think that she spiritually saved my life. Um, I had a coach in athletics during high school. If it wasn't for him to really dig in and get into my spiritual self as a person, through athletics and teamwork and learning from others, if it wasn't for my coach, I come Coach Nakanazi. If it wasn't for him, between those two people, those are the ones that really put me on my path to be who I am. It's a long journey. Have I made a lot of mistakes? Yeah. Have I learned from them? Yes. I really think if you don't learn from them, that's when you start getting into trouble. And I think when I did get in trouble and got out of it, I learned from it and accepted it and moved on and made myself the type of person that I am today. Um, Father of 4 kids. I love my wife. I love my friends. I love the people that I work with. I'm grateful for everything in my life, and being able to do that. And I'm at that point that I'm giving back now, even more than I ever have before. Knowing that my mom's still with me after she passed in 2012, still guiding me. My father's still guiding me. My spirit guide's still guiding me. Just them now giving me the voices to work through me as a conduit to help others uh, through their traumas or anything like that, just from experience and just for spiritual guidance.
That's great. So I'm going to say goodnight to everybody in the chat.
Mhm. Yeah,
And then if you'd like to hang around for a few minutes, we can
yeah, not
talk.
a problem, my friend.
Okay.
Yeah,
So everybody, Steve Hodgson is here from down in Florida.
nice.
He's an old friend. Kim Baranski says, guys, it's been an awesome show.
Thanks.
She is a lady that works with me on Wednesday nights.
Nice.
Uh, she she's been on this show. She's an amazing. She's a doctor now,
Yeah,
officially
good
a
for her.
doctor.
Awesome. A lot of
She
hard work for that.
she she's just a great person, but she has things in her house that the lights go on and off when we're doing a show or we're
Yeah.
talking or whatever, and things like that happen. So it's we take it in stride because
Yeah,
we understand what's
some
going on.
spirits like to show off,
Yes, they
just like
do.
the living world, some people like to show off, but
But
it's
I'll
all the
mention
same.
I want to mention the rest of the names and then we'll just shut her down.
Yeah.
Barbara Woodbury Spear or Barbara Spear. They have Nancy Noonan Kelly, a good. I think she's Polish. Nancy Noonan
Yeah.
Kelly.
Yeah. My
Jim
wife's Polish.
Jim Jim Ormut.
Yeah.
We have Anton Ritter, and he says that he watches the show on Wednesday nights. So
Nice.
that's great. Who else do we have? Paranormal Rockdown. They
Yeah.
made us go
Paranormal
to.
Rockdown coming up in Wisconsin,
Are
Broadhead
you
Manor.
you're
I
going to be
won't be
there?
there, unfortunately. Maybe next year if they invite me. But yeah, that sounds like it's going to be a good one out there.
I was hoping you were going to say the other way because I will be there.
No, but I'll be out in Parapsychon this month in a couple weeks. So
Where's
with
that at?
that, that's Ohio State Reformatory.
Oh, is that okay?
Yes,
Mansfield.
Mansfield, and we'll be out there, and we're gonna have a really good time. Anybody that's in the area or just enough time to get out there, that's gonna be fun. Come and say hi to us at our table. I'll be there myself, Joe Frankie, Stacia Wills. So 3 of the 5 members of the 3 pillars that I talked about. So that should be pretty
Wow.
exciting. Even Kathy Fiketic and Greg Fiketic that run it. Kathy is the head of our, healing side of it as a Reiki master for Wardruna. So there's a lot of people that are involved with our groups that'll be out there at Parapsychon. So come out and see us.
Oh, I wish I could go ahead and make it, but I think I'm going to be somewhere else.
It's okay.
Anyway, Josh Baranski, who we got? Kim. Then we got that Green Saxy again, and that's about it. So everybody, thank you very much for being here tonight, and thank you, Mr. Thomas Patrick Graham. I keep on saying Gormley instead of Gormley.
It's Gormley. You got to speak
Gormley.
Irish. You got
I know Gormley.
you got to be
Okay.
Celtic for it, my friend. You got to. That's where my shamanism comes from, my Celtic side, so my indigenous Irish side of me. So
that's awesome.
yeah.
Thank you very much, everybody, and we will see you guys later on.
Yes.
And here's hoping you all have a great weekend and go in peace, whatever you do. Have a great one. Love you guys.